This video is made for adult collectors because he hates everything. Oh boy, this is such a heavy hitter for the end of the year. I got this at GameStop Canada for the one person who's gonna ask, by the way. MPM has been a very toy line in my opinion since its inception back during the 10th anniversary of the first film, ignoring the two redecos that came before. Bumblebee was alright, Prime had loads of breakage issues, and I really think that leader class transformation has run its course and should retire. Barricade was convoluted in the arms and I didn't much enjoy his transformation. Ratchet and Ironhide felt way too complicated, Megatron had stability issues, and Bumblebee Movie MPM Prime took the overcomplication feedback too literally and made something so simple that it compromised a lot, even though I still like the toy. Starscream feels like the time when MPM started finding its footing and started making some bangers for me personally, with Starscream, Blackout, and now Bonecrusher being some of the best figures to come out of this line and setting a nice little trend in the space of complex to a point. Bonecrusher really settles into that, and this feels like it might not just be the best MPM I've ever handled, but this may be the best toy I've gotten this year. Like, that's how much I like it. He isn't without issue, but those issues feel so small that I can still very much enjoy the hell out of this toy. I'm starting in truck mode because that's how he's packaged, and one of my biggest complaints is the instructions. And while MGO has this thing and is definitely going to be making a JTI at the time of me writing this, it hasn't come out yet, there are parts of the transformation that you have to do that I want to point out to you so you don't get stuck, because I did on my first try. This is such a brick though. Everything holds together so solidly and it's just such a nice thing to hold. Like, it's so dense and well packed, nothing spindly is hanging out underneath, and the plastic feels nice and solid for the most part. The wheel arches, because they have to like fold away and stuff, they feel a bit thin and flimsy, and coupled with the paint on them leads me to think that if you're not careful, you're gonna chip the paint on those sections. So just take it slow when transforming them. The arm is articulated and can do everything the Studio Series one can basically, but this one has added claw articulation at the front, which is really nice, though I'm not sure if it actually does this in real life. And even the below, he's just a brick. He rolls quite well due to those chunky tires, which they feel like a different, softer plastic, but it's really hard to tell. And the detail on them, there's some Easter eggs you can spot on the tires, like where it says Megatron and stuff. I think that's really cool. I do wish the arm had a natural stopping point somehow, like a soft click into place, because it does swing around a lot when handling the alt mode, and it does get in the way quite a bit. It's a bit annoying. And none of the accessories have places to go in the alt mode. Yay. It would have been cool if there was like a way to stick the flames on the truck on the outside to make it look like he'd driven through something, but they just sort of sit there. So while I'm not going to be going through the entire transformation because that will make the video way too long and I don't like long videos, I'm going to show you the bits that I struggled with when I first did it so that you probably don't struggle with that either. And as usual, MGO will probably have a JTI of the whole thing if you want. I would recommend that because the instructions, which are now behind the desk, are terrible. So one of the things that you can do, you don't have to do this, but you can do it, is you can remove the arm. It does make it easier. So I'm taking it off. It just clips in right up front here with this like very special clip design that feels like it's gonna last quite a while, which is nice. Put the arm off to the side, and then I just straighten this up and get it out of the way. So we're gonna start by undoing this entire front section here and bringing this whole grill forward. Come on, there we go. Forward, pegging this all together, and now he's got a big long noodle. So then we fold this down. This side doesn't have that. Now what I'm going to do is take the legs, pull them out. Now the instructions are like, all right, pull them and pull it down. You can't do that. They're pegged in right here. So you want to split them a little bit and then bring them down. And now they are out like that. And then we're going to take the tires, bring them up and around just to get them out of the way because they are going to get in the way. So rotate this down, fold up the wheel arch. That on this side as well. Rotate this down, fold up the wheel arch. I'm going to turn this part around now just to get it out of the way like that. And now we're getting somewhere. So one of the things that I struggle with at first, I need to rotate the camera up a little bit, was these window sections right here. So they should just pop out like that. This side is really stuck on mine. So what I do is I get my finger in here and just sort of push And then it should, there we go, just come out like that. Bring this whole section around, fold these in. But yeah, that's how I get that one out, because it gets stuck, and I'd recommend you do that as well. Like you saw, this comes out and then you have room to push this out. We're getting somewhere. We've made a pyramid. Fold the wheel arches in at the back here, just like so. Do that on both sides. Take this part a little bit slow because all of this brown is painted and it could chip potentially, so just be careful with that. Now I'm going to actually fold these out. We're going to do the arms first because I find the arms are the easiest thing to do first. Fold this section up, lift, lift, there we go. Lift that out of the way. Then we're going to untab these side sections here, rotate the wheels again just to get them out of the way, and then yoink this out. They're very stiff on my copy. Yoink them out, fold this up, collapse this in underneath. The ladder will go into the arm like so. And then we'll just flip out the thumbs, fold out the fingers, and that's the hands. That's really satisfying to do. Back and forth, I don't know, it's just so nice to do back and forth. Then, split the arms. Split the arms. Bring this down just to get the wheel out of the way. Pull this entire section out. Do that on both sides here. That will now allow you to take this section here, get the wheel out of the way. There we go. And fold this all the way up. Now, it was really difficult trying to peg this section into here because the instructions weren't clear as to the orientation of this panel. Instead of it being down here, you want it to be up there. So slightly hanging over top, because then when you rotate this around and in, it will peg in, right? I'm gonna have to unpeg it though because it's not gonna meet just yet. Split the arms. Bring these die cast sections here out like that. This is a little tricky just because there's no space. Actually, okay, that one was easy. Fold these in just for now. We're getting somewhere again. Now this seems like a pretty good time to do the legs. So I know it looks like a mess, but it's actually, I'm enjoying this. So fold these sections out. Now we're going to fold out the toes, all of them. Fold out his little claw. Rotate this around, and then these little side sections will peg into the foot there. Now, one thing that I and my buddy didn't know about was in here, there's a little flip out strut that pegs into the actual 5mm port in the leg. Let me take a 5mm gun, for example, and just plug it into there. Yeah, it's a 5mm port. So he has 5mm compatibility on him, which is interesting. Now, in traditional Bonecrusher fashion, rotate the legs 180 degrees. We're almost there. So next thing you're gonna wanna do is in the torso here. Almost done. So all you wanna do is bring these wheels, rotate them up, and then just sort of swing them around while keeping this section here. These are a little annoying because they're attached on the same strut. So you have to hold one and move the other. Then bring this section, fold it down. It will peg into the wheels. Just getting that all situated there. Now we're gonna flip the head around. So you wanna open this section in the middle here. Push the head out. There's his noggin. Then fold this up. His face does come detached, which is kind of interesting, but oh well. Now pegging this together can be a tiny bit of a chore just because you can't see what you're doing. You also have to rotate this 180 degrees. So you just kind of want to line everything up. There's 2 pegs at the bottom, 2 pegs at the top, and then 1 peg at the very top. All right, now once you get all that pegged in, you're going to want to take this back section here and just clip it together. Like so. There's a robot mode set of clips and a vehicle mode set of clips. And once that's all lined up, you want to take the hips, bring them around, get the wheel arch out of the way, rotate it, and it will peg into the 5mm port, and then clip this around. And that's a leg done. Now these sections are supposed to rotate right here like this. I personally like them like this a little bit more, so I'm gonna leave them like that, but you know, that's up to you. The coolest part of the transformation is these, I think. So these are the windows for the side. Now obviously a lot of the time it's either fake or not there, but these actually are on a bunch of hinges and clip into the wheels. So you bring it up, you sort of have it engulf the wheel then you bring it down, and then down once more. And there are pegs in the wheel, or ports in the wheels, and it will just peg in. This bottom section all the way, and there you go. Now, you do have the option to have a more movie accurate claw thing. And that is basically just, you want to recombine the entire arm, and then from here down, you rip it. And off that comes. Whoop, it split apart. And then you take this section here, and don't split it apart like an actual idiot. Peg it in, like so, split it up, bring it around. I've put this on backwards, but you get it. And then they'll fold up like this. And there you have Bonecrusher. I'll fix those. So after that not so bad transformation, we get this absolutely amazing looking robot mode with a paint chip. But I'm blaming myself for the paint chip because, well, I did that. But look at him. He looks so friggin' cool. I adore how all the parts used are actually parts of the alt mode. Not that I have a problem with faux forming. I don't really care, to be completely honest. It's always nice to see that extra effort put in, though, when they actually use bits from the alt mode to make the parts of the robot. The battle damage, I will say, looks a tad spotty. As official battle damage goes, there are certain plastics used where the battle damage wouldn't actually stick or will come off really easily, so they left it unpainted. And that doesn't really work super well, and it looks spotty here. Fortunately, it's not like Siege where it's all over the place. The battle damage is actually kept to a minimum, so it looks good in that regard. There isn't too much of it. So while it doesn't look the greatest, it's not in your face, so you can just ignore it. But man, this is not a boring looking toy. They nailed all the sculpted detail and the line work. All the part separation in the torso is using actual parts as detail, which is always a nice touch. And it is such a clean looking robot mode. I love how beefed up the feet get and that they're massive. Balance issues are virtually non-existent because of how well constructed the feet are, and they are the same length as Bumblebee movie Brawn. And all the tires that spin in the alt mode still spin in the robot mode, even the ones in his crotch. I think that's cool. I'm not a fan of the wheel arches hanging off his ass. I think that they're just like the most unclean part about this toy, but thankfully they move independently of the hips. Speaking of the hips, there have been like 2 or 3 reports thus far of hips breaking, specifically the ratchets malfunctioning. Now, the hips from what I've seen still work okay after the ratchets break, and I'm sure DNA or someone will make replacement ratchet clips for them, but it's also only like a small percentage of people have had that problem. I'm not super worried about it. Mine sound and feel completely fine, so I'm not harped on it, but it is a your mileage may vary thing, but it's a very small mileage may vary thing, but it is still something to keep in mind. The head sculpt is fantastic. The colors used underneath the face work at making the head pop more in that sea of like detail in the torso, and you can swap it to look like what what is that? And you can make it look like this, which replicated The arms are a tad blocky, which is a choice I find a bit strange. His arms don't do the extendy thing they did in the film, because yes, they do extend in a bit of the film, like in the fight, but I also never really found myself using the extendy arms on all the toys, so like it's not a huge bother that it's not there for me. It's just the arms look like bricks. I like how little paint there is on this dude. I know it's weird, but like the way they did the metallic looking parts and how the wheels help with the color definition. Also, these window sections are all paint, and the paint matching is so damn good. Like, geez, I don't think I've seen paint matching this good in a very long time. Then again, this has a masterpiece budget, so that might be why. And then the flames. They are a soft rubber, but they hold their shape quite well. They can be a bit of a pain to peg into the robot, but once it's done, they look pretty cool. I just wish they had a bit of paint definition to them, but with the soft material, it would probably flake off over time because they flex. And some of them don't like staying on very well, but they do look cool. Oh, robot articulation and then arm articulation, because I didn't do that in alt mode. He's got a lot. Now the Studio Series, where did the Studio Series go? Oh, here it is. The Studio Series one had problems with like gorilla arms, the head was weird, and balance was sometimes an issue. Well, putting him on the floor, this doesn't have any of that. So the head, we'll start there first, is on a ball joint, so it can do the rotation thing. It can look left that far and right that far. However, if you switched it up just a little bit, you can get a little bit more side-to-side motion. And then you have up on the ball joint and down on the ball joint. However, you got up on the ball joint, and then the transformation hinge as well allows him to look up about that far. Wish it could go up a little bit higher, but the fact that he can look up and down is a nice step up over the Studio Series. Shoulders are on ratchets. They can do a full 360. You have this little panel here that moves when the arms go out, and there's enough space in here for that panel to go in. However, when you're back here, there is no space because there's a window in the way. So this flap can open up even more to accommodate outward motion when you've rotated it like this, which is nice. Bicep rotation, double jointed elbows, wrist rotation, and then the thumbs can move if you want. He does have a waist joint. Get that arm back up. Hips. They can go forward that far. Really loud ratchets. They can go back that far. And then they can go in and, oops, activate the ankle tilt, in and out. Thigh rotation. Ratcheted 90-degree bend at the knee. And then you have ankle tilts. Now the ankle tilts unclip, so you gotta unclip them in order to move them. And then the arm. The arm has a whole plethora of joints, including a joint up here that rotates, then a joint up here that hinges. Then you have a secondary joint that hinges, and you have another joint that hinges, and then you have these scissor joints, this joint, and this rotates.
So yes, I definitely recommend this. Not only is it the best bone crusher out there, but it's also the best MPM toy I've ever handled, third party or official. But then again, I also haven't handled Blackout yet because I haven't found one yet. It's such a nice thing to mess with, and I can't stop fiddling with the toy. And I just got Reactivate Starscream and Bumblebee, and I'm still messing with Bonecrusher. I highly recommend it. I feel like the asking price is pretty worth it. Premium price for a premium toy, and boy does it feel like it fits that premium toy. It's very, very nice. But that's my look at Masterpiece Movie Bonecrusher. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.